right, now on this one, I'm very excited to hear you talk about this one because I've been very interested in this game for a long time.
Are you ready to be spooked?
I'm always ready to be spooked.
Are you ready to be spooked in the town of Arkham?
So ready.
Oh. Anyways, I want to be able to talk about Arkham Horror 3rd Edition.
Yeah, so do it.
Dramatic pause. Yeah. I had the opportunity to go to Arkham Nights at the Fantasy Flight Game Center here in Minnesota. It's like a 10-minute drive away from me. And just off topic, I mean, having the Fantasy Flight Game Center so close, you'd think that I'd go there like every day. I don't.
I know. Here's the thing. That place was like a mecca for me when like the first 2 or 3 years when I was into board games.
Yeah.
So I am like super jealous. As of now, it's not as much of a mecca, but man, that stuff.
It's a really cool place.
Awesome.
It has changed throughout the years. They just actually, probably it's within the last 2 years, they rebuilt it because it was, they kind of redid everything. It looks really cool, and there's a lot of game space in there. And they actually host Worlds there, which is really surprising because for the popularity of Worlds, for all the events that they host, they do get quite a crowd. And parking there is atrocious because it's actually like in combination with another like company that exists. It's like, so Fantasy Flight isn't like this cool tower skyscraper. It's just like a one-story building that stretches down like a block, and then like at the end of the block or at the end of this plot of land is like another company, and there's like this war between like where to park, and then like people that want to be at the game center park in this company's spaces, and then they get into a fight, and it's just like the weirdest.
That's really
thing.
funny.
And then there's like an auto parts like that's just right across the parking lot. It's like if you were to ever go there, you'd be like, "What the like? This is my heaven." You're saying, and I can also buy air filters from my car across the street. Like,
what else could a boy want?
I know exactly, but I digress. Arkham Nights 2018. Every time in October, Fantasy Flight hosts this event where it's everything Arkham. And for someone like me who is a cultist and just insanely collected all of the Arkham games throughout its entirety these last however many years, I have done my best in the years to attend. I have been going since 2014. I would say that I go like every other year. So like I didn't go in 17, went in 16, didn't go in 15, maybe gone in 14. In any case, this year they had Arkham Horror 3rd Edition available along with everything Arkham there. So Mansions of Madness 1 Edition, Mansions of Madness 2 Edition, Arkham Horror LCG, expansions for Mansions of Madness 1st Edition. Interestingly enough, I was thinking about this. I was making my notes for tonight. They did not have 2nd edition. I couldn't find it.
2nd edition of what?
Arkham Horror.
It's gone, son.
They just shipped that out now. They did not want to have any of 2nd edition to be anywhere near 3rd edition.
Not even close.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't recall there anyone being... So, like, they had Arkham Horror 1st edition, right? Like, the straight-up 1st edition roll and move game.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they just had 3rd edition. 2nd edition, like I said, it probably was there. I just don't remember now when I look back, like, where was it? Yeah. I don't remember. In any case, they had 3rd edition there. They had it available for pre-sale with the mat that did not include the whole arrangement. If you're at Gen Con, they had like a whole play mat, and you could kind of play it like an Arkham Assault. Oh Jesus!
Arkham Assault.
Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
Like setup, but I was able to play the game twice, and I want to be able to talk to you about my experience.
2 times.
2 times.
Wait. Okay. And actually, we'll probably talk about this a bit later. How well attended is Arkham Nights?
It's well attended. I would.
Oh, okay. All right.
There were still tickets available when we were waiting to get in. So,
do you have to pay to get in?
Yes, you do.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you do. Yes, and it's expensive,
really?
But you get some really neat stuff.
Oh,
there.
cool.
We'll talk.
We'll talk about later.
We'll talk about later. Anyways, Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. This is again a follow-up to Arkham Horror 2nd Edition. Which
was a follow-up to the 1st edition.
Which is a follow-up to the. I hate myself. The designer of the 3rd edition was Nikki Valens. Kevin Wilson did the 2nd edition, and Richard Launius did the 1st edition. The artist for Arkham Horror 3rd edition was Anders Finer, F-I-N-E umlaut. No, not an umlaut. E-R. How would you say that? Finier?
Finet.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Publisher being Fantasy Flight Games as well. Anders, I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your last name. Arkham.
It's fine. He doesn't care.
I hope not. If he ever listens to this podcast, I have no idea.
He won't.
Yeah. It's late.
It's late.
Yeah, it's late. Arkham Horror 3rd edition is, if I had to sum up the game, I would say it's like Arkham Horror: The Greatest Hits.
Okay, now here's the thing. I've never played Arkham Horror.
Get out.
I've played Eldritch Horror.
Get out.
But I've never played So explain to me just in general how you play Arkham Horror. I'm not getting out. Mostly because I have headphones on and that would hurt.
And that'd be awkward. Yeah, so Arkham Horror is a action-adventure game in which you play as investigators in the town of Arkham, Massachusetts. And something is a bit strange in that town. In that it mostly involves some big tentacly thing that wants to basically destroy Earth as we know it. So
yeah, it sounds like my wedding night. Auga, auga.
Hey, oh my God,
Oh
we're
gosh,
just
that's so
we're just
stupid.
killing it this evening. Nice. My God, and that threw me off.
Yeah, it did.
So, as investigators, you get your double barrel shotguns, you get your pistols, and basically you start blowing away cultists, deep ones that might be like, crawling up the roofs on the town of Arkham. And you're just basically having just a jolly time, chucking dice, rolling 5s and 6s, and making sure that basically if nothing bad happens, it's a good day. Right? Because that is what this game is all about. It's about its insane difficulty. It's about luck. It's about planning. It's about strategery. It's about a lot of different things. And that is why this game, I think, has gotten kind of the cult status, pun intended, that it has today in terms of if you win a game of Arkham, whether it be 1st edition, especially 2nd edition, like it was kind of an event because the game was hard. So, 3rd edition, it had been 13 years since the 2nd edition. They had been printing copies of 2nd edition for 13 years.
Holy
which
cow.
is crazy. And so at Gen Con 2018, right off the bat in their in-flight report, they're like, yo, dudes, we're making 3rd edition. And they basically took, I think, from Eldritch Horror, all of, they cherry-picked, I think, kind of the best mechanics and the best thing from those games and mashed it in to Arkham Horror 3rd edition, which is not a bad thing. So, let's take a look at Eldritch. Eldritch Horror, I think, introduced the focus system, where you could kind of buff your character with strength, with lore, with books, with arms, whatever you want to call it. They had that system. This exists in Arkham Horror 3rd edition. You have, that Bag of Doom. There was a monster Bag of Doom in Arkham Horror, but now they got rid of it and kind of replaced it with a similar system like Arkham Horror LCG, where you pull it out and whether something bad happens or good happens, which is mainly bad, comes from this Bag of Doom. That comes from Arkham Horror LCG. Attacking in Arkham Horror LCG is what's considered engaging. So when a monster is engaged with you in battle, you basically move it in front of you and you deal with it. Same process with Arkham Horror 3rd edition. They are no longer square tiles. They are actually cards. And on the front of the card, you'll see a cultist. And when you flip it over, it's a specific type of cultist. And so then when it engages with you in battle, you move it in front of you. Very similar to Arkham Horror LCG. You have story cards and objectives within Arkham Horror 3rd. So when the game starts and you configure the board, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, you're basically given kind of synopsis in a story or this layout of different things that'll happen in the story. So if you activate certain amount of objectives on this one card, you pull from this pile of cards and you reveal the next kind of story flavor text and your next objective. And then let's say, for instance, if you have doom counters that are placed on the great one that is trying to be awoken, you then activate this other card that will then cause something bad to happen, you got to go to this deck of cards and read out the next thing. So you can have like these branching story paths instead of just having it kind of be this linear thing that happens in a game. So that's kind of neat in terms of how that all plays out. If we look at things in terms of how it looks physically, the game now has every single neighborhood of the town of Arkham lifted up and now is completely modular. So think of it as like a hexagon, and on the hexagon there's like a circle in the middle, and then you have it divided into thirds. So like you have like a top, a right, and a bottom. I think maybe thirds or fourths, I have to remember. And then you have a road that kind of connects like a puzzle piece that you can then connect each neighborhood together. And you can't, the game is modular, but each great one has its own specific setup. So you can't necessarily make your own Arkham. It is very tailored specifically to who you are specifically battling.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. There are like road cards or scenario cards, event cards that happen where if you're in a specific before I talk about that, I should actually talk about the types of things you can do during your turn. So much like in Arkham, whether you play Eldritch or whatever, there's clues and there's doom that can be placed that opens up gates. So you got to close the gates. Doom happens when you pull stuff out of a bag, or you have a Mythos card that does something that activates Doom on a specific part of the neighborhood or whatever. And as soon as you have 5 Doom counters or 3 on a specific like district of a neighborhood, you open up a gate. And that gate then, whenever Doom comes into that specific neighborhood, it goes on to the Great One card or the Old One card. And that is what kind of perpetually gets you towards, you know, awakening the Old One or the Elder God, whatever you want to call it. So there's like that aspect to it. There's no longer actions to like go to the store or do something like that. Each specific district of your neighborhood has like icons that says like, oh, you can get if you go here, you have a card that basically has a greater chance of being able to heal you, or a greater chance of being able to go shopping, or a greater chance of being able to collect a clue. And clues in Doom are basically tracked by this deck of cards that has the town and the colors, and by either revealing the back of the deck or the front of the deck, depends on where the clue and or Doom goes. There's specific rules on how that all gets played out, which is kind of interesting. So there's like that mechanic I think is unique to 3rd edition in terms of like how that's all being kind of distributed amongst the board. Mm-hmm. The characters, I think, play all the same as well, too. So, like, your characters have, again, the tropes and characteristics of what we have seen in Eldritch Horror or Arkham Horror, with your strength, your lore, your intelligence, your observation, like that kind of stuff. And you can, I think, yeah, so you can go insane and you can get hurt. And I think there are cards that like work like Mansions of Madness, where if you go insane, something happens with you. Likewise, like how you get, you know, in Mansions, if you go insane, you have like this another roll card that's played in front of you that's like, you know, you turn traitorous or something like that. Right, I have to recall, and actually don't even quote me on that. I don't think that's correct. I'm trying to remember. I don't have my copy in hand just yet. It's been like 2 weeks. So I had to kind of take notes as I did on the fly. But in essence, like, again, everything that has kind of culminated from all these different games come into 3rd edition, and that's what makes 3rd edition, I think. It's like, it truly is the Arkham Horror game for these next generation of gamers that I think takes what has worked for Arkham these last 13 years and just puts it all together that I think works really, really well. I think Nikki did a great job in terms of putting this all together. I think it was just it's an awesome job done all around, and I'm excited to play again and to see what types of expansions and different great ones that they can make and what they can do from there. So I think it'll be good.
Okay, that's interesting, but I'm gonna ask you something. Okay, so to pare this game down, you're essentially going to a location, trying to resolve it to not have Doom tokens put on, right? And collect. Now, are you also collecting Elder Signs to try and beat it?
No, elder signs do not exist in this game as far
they don't
as I know.
Game.
Yeah,
okay.
Not I think in a main sense. Clues are the biggest thing that you're trying to clues. And then when you get enough clues, that can move the story forward. It doesn't necessarily. It isn't like the biggest thing, right? It could be. So you could have something completely different that you need to do. Clues may be one piece of that puzzle, but clues in general are very important towards completing the game.
Okay, so then you also have your characters, and they each have kind of their own special abilities, right?
Yep, they do. Yep.
And do they have like stamina and like heart and mind, like sanity and stamina? Okay,
yeah, health and stamina, or sanity,
I'm trying to see how this is very different from Elder Sign. I know it's like more complicated, but if you pare it down, is it ultimately Elder Sign?
Oh, absolutely not. Elder Sign.
Absolutely not. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely not. Elder Sign is you're in the Arkham Museum, or at least the base game is, and you're actually rolling dice, and you're having to match the dice to the card. This has the dice rolling mechanic in this game is just when you're attacking something or trying to resolve doom, roll a 5 or a 6. That's all you need to do.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They're completely different games in terms of that fashion. Yeah.
Okay. And so the only thing really timed together is the theme then, and like trying to resolve and keep the great old one. Basically, a Cthulhu game. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. I was actually super tempted to get it, but then I was thinking, I was like, how similar is it to Elder Sign? If you're just like going somewhere to resolve something. But it does sound completely different. I was a bit bummed it wasn't going to be out by Halloween, because it sounds like a great Halloween game to play, but it comes out the day after. I think it comes out November 1st.
Oh, yeah, probably. I'm not sure. Like I said, it was available for pre-purchase at Arkham Nights.
Okay.
As far as their street date, I'm not sure. I thought it was out by now, honestly.
Okay. So with your history of Arkham Horror then, and is this kind of the best one so far then?
I think so, yeah. I think though it doesn't necessarily replace Eldritch Horror.
Okay.
And it doesn't, of course, replace the LCG. I think it definitely replaces the second edition for me. Okay. I don't think there's any reason to play the second edition if you play the third edition. But
variety wise, how many scenarios are you getting in the base box? Do you know?
I think 4.
4?
I think you get 4. Yep.
It's like a $70 game, so I'm just seeing if it's actually worth that ticket.
Yeah, I wonder. So like the first game I played, we lost, but that game also was a learning game for everybody. And when I mean everybody, it was even for the demo team.
That's hilarious.
When we played our second game, there were a lot of things that changed that seemed minor, but actually helped us immensely. For instance, clue tokens were not seeded in our first game, and they're supposed to be seeded at the beginning of the game. So that definitely helped. I think, at least I don't remember there being clue tokens at the beginning of my first game. But yeah, so we were cruising along in our first game, and we got just completely obliterated. And then the second game went a lot better.
Got it.
The game as well moves really fast. Like every player's turn is easy to teach a player's turn. There's a nice kind of flip player guide that tells you kind of like everything that you need to know. Player's turn go by very quick too, so there isn't too much downtime. Like I said, we played a 4-player game in like hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay, I was gonna ask that, and that seems a lot shorter than maybe Eldritch Horror and other ones. Okay,
it probably chops the game like 30 to 45 minutes off the second edition for sure.
That sounds great. I think I'm gonna pick that up. I haven't owned Eldritch Horror. I've played Eldritch Horror, but I've never owned it, and I've never owned Arkham Horror or played it. I think this one, it's gonna hop on my to buy list. That's awesome.
Get it.
Oh,
get it.
It's done.
Get it.
I'm gonna get it.
Yeah. So Arkham Horror 3rd edition by Fantasy Flight Games.